Hi, welcome to Craft with Kathy. Thank you for joining me today. Today's project is going to be using a transfer called the Elf. Isn't this the cutest little thing? And I'm going to do it on one of our Grayson boards with the white chalkboard and the black frame. It's a distressed frame, and I think it'll just look perfect on this board. So let's get started. As usual, I need to fuzz my transfer before I put it on my board. And this is a brand new transfer. It's one piece, and I'm going to be putting on a 9x12 Grayson board. And generally all I have to do is kind of like roll my fingers across the edge to loosen the transfer from the backer. Okay, so I'm going to place this on my fuzzing cloth. I want to take care that I do not get the adhesive sides sticking to each other, which of course I just unfortunately did. I'm going to gently, very gently, try and pull this apart. You have to be very careful not to distort the transfer, and as this seems to only be where there's no design or silk screen, I think I'm okay in that regard. Oops, getting a little bit more touchy here. Usually I only pull it off the backer half before attaching it, and I guess I was a little bit too anxious to get started today. I have to be careful with those words. You know what? Actually, I'm going to stick this in a water bath to get it to unstick. Hi, I'm back. Well, let's see if I did any damage. It took a bit to get it unstuck, and I had to force myself to be as patient as possible, because putting too much pressure as you're prying it apart will stretch the transfer. Transfers are made of vinyl, which is the turquoise, and silkscreen, which is the clear. And you can stretch and distort it if you pull too hardly. That's why you never want to pull up by the corners, always top, bottom, left or right. And I think I was gentle enough with this, but we shall see. I'm going to be putting this on our 9x12 black framed Grayson board, white chalkboard, black frame, perfect for this size transfer. So first I'm going to fuzz my transfer again, or attempt that again. And I'm going to go very slowly with it. I think I make mistakes when I'm going to rush. So I'm going to peel back the transfer part way, which is usually what I do on larger transfers. This isn't that large, but it really protects you from having it stick to itself. So I'm going to fuzz it. Lift it. Wow, this is still really, really sticky. Lift half of it, put it back down. Lift half of it, put it back down, the other half. And usually I fuzz my new transfers 3 or 4 times. This one seems very, very sticky, so I might do it maybe like 5 times, whatever. You get a feel for it. And I'm going to force myself to slow down a little bit as I work with this. I might actually work sideways. Hoping for not a repeat there. Okay. I'm going to get this straightened out. lined up properly. As you can see, it's a little wrinkled from what it went through earlier today. And we'll see how this really goes. I'm going to press it down very gently. Taking care to be sure there's no air bubbles in here. And I do see an air bubble right here. I'll have to get rid of. I think if I had left it on its backer for a little bit longer and maybe put a weight on it, it would have removed some of the little wrinkles that I ended up with earlier from having it stuck to itself. Okay. I am going to do the elf in shimmer red, shimmer gold, and green. Let me check the consistency of my green. Oh, it seems like it's gotten a little bit thick. Let me add a little bit of distilled water to it and give it a stir. And I think what I'm going to do is do the hat and the shoes in the green with a little shimmer gold for the trim work on the hat and the shoes, and the bell, of course, on the hat. And then I will do the lettering in shimmer red. So I usually like to start with my larger areas first. So I'm going to start with the shimmer red so that it takes, because it'll take a little bit longer to dry for a large area. So I went right up into that hat a little bit. Might need a little cleanup work. I have an air bubble here. Dang. Okay, let's see if I could fix this. And I'll give you a close-up of the air bubble. I didn't see it or feel it initially, but I definitely see it now. Oops, and I just went off my letters a little bit. Okay, I'm cleaning this up, making sure there's no lines, but right in the bottom portion of my L, there is an air bubble. So I'm going to try to just, oops, and it looks like I have one in my E for my elf also. I mean, yeah, the E. I'm going to try lifting this up and seeing if I could remove that and press it back down again, or really determine what's going on with it. The E doesn't look too bad. The L doesn't look too good. I actually see that air bubble on it. And it might be that I did distort the transfer. I'm going to apply paste over both of them again. If I get a little bit better coverage there. My E looks better, and actually I think my L, no, I'm not sure. I'll lift it and take another look at it. My E looks good. I've just have a little cleanup, and I think my L looks good. However, I don't think I'm going to have time to really Oh, maybe I will. Okay, I was thinking I wouldn't have time to get everything done before everything starts drying. I'm not going to put this down. I'm not going to press it back down. I need to get my word "the" from the elf made me do it. Definitely have too much chalk paste on this squeegee. I should have cleaned it off. Okay. So I think that's good. Let me get rid of the red. And I need to clean my fingers a bit. And get rid of my little bit of red at the top of that shoe. Let's see what I could do here. The red chalk paste off my fingers. And I'm going to come back in here, lift that transfer, and try and clean that first. Otherwise, I could just lift off the transfer, let it dry, and then clean the transfer and come back and fix it later. Oh, I think I could clean this off pretty good. Oops, except I just smeared the bottom of my letter. Yeah, might have garbled that up. Sure enough, did. Okay, let's try it again. I'm going to try cleaning the transfer. Just that area. No, that's not going to work. Okay. I guess today is going to be lessons learned. So let me go over the L again. I think that's fine. I'm going to lift this transfer up. Take a look at my lettering. No, I don't like where it looks right here. Looks like I missed a little bit of paste. So I can clean that up. Better. Okay, I'm going to put this in a water bath and clean it while I actually also clean up my board a bit. Very easy to clean up any mistakes with the chalk with a wet paper towel. Before the chalk dries. Once it's dried, it takes a little bit more elbow grease, but it's not difficult at all. And actually, somewhere around here, I have some little Swiffer sticks that let you get into tight corners here and clean up. And I'm going to come back with them because look I just smeared it, wouldn't you know. Decisions, do I start over? I'm going to just clean it up and start over. Well, I did decide that I should erase it and just start over. Seemed a little bit simpler than trying to fix multiple mistakes. So I just spritzed it with a little bit of water and wiped it up with a paper towel. I did have a bit of ghosting, so I used one of our board erasers with that and a little bit of water and wiped up with a paper towel, and that took care of it. Ghosting occasionally happens with our deeper pigmented paste, but it's easy to remove with the board eraser. Nice thing about chalkboards, erase and start over at any time, or reuse anytime you become tired of the existing design. Hi, thanks for joining me again. Okay, the elf is proving to be somewhat of a nemesis for me. My own fault. I need to slow down a little bit as I work with this. I'm just so anxious to see the completed project that I'm rushing myself, and I really need to slow down and just enjoy the process. I'm adding the transfer to my fuzzing cloth, and I'm going to fuzz it to deliberately apply some lint to the back of it so that it doesn't stick quite as strongly to my surface. And I'm going to be using, whoa, is this sticky? I'm going to be using a Grayson board, black frame, distressed frame with a white chalkboard. My goodness, is this sticky? This is a new transfer. As you use a transfer, the adhesiveness or the stickiness will diminish somewhat, but with proper care, you can get 8 to 12 uses out of a single transfer. I've heard tell of quite a higher number too. When you clean your transfers, you want to clean them in a water bath, get as much paste off of them as possible, and then clean the front and then the back with with a Clorox wipe. And when you're cleaning the back, you're trying to remove as much lint that you've picked up from your fuzzing cloth as possible. And I'm lifting up side by side instead of the whole transfer because I want to try and be sure that I don't get the adhesive stuck to itself. Okay, I think that's been fuzzed enough. I'm going to check to make sure where my hanger is so that I apply the transfer appropriately. This is a 9 by 12 surface, which is the perfect size for this transfer. Now I did have some issues with an air bubble in here, which is why I'm redoing this. So I'm not quite sure if that's an air bubble just because I didn't lay it down flat enough, or if I did some stretching of the transfer when I got it stuck to itself. So I'm going to try and be very careful here to make sure there are no air bubbles and to get a better idea of what we're really looking at. Okay, I don't see an air bubble there this time. So I think it's just how I applied it. I don't think the transfer was stretched. When it was stuck to itself, it was a little bit difficult to pull apart. And I've gotten a few little wrinkles in here because of that. I think it'll be okay. Okay. I'm going to put the red shimmer paste down first for my wording. Seems like I can't really get in there. Okay, and I'm probably using a little bit too large of a squeegee for this. When you're cleaning the paste off of your transfer or smoothing out the lines and removing the excess, you want to pay attention to the angle of your squeegee to the surface. It's not quite a 90-degree angle, but almost. You are tilting it a slight amount, but you're not patting like this. You're actually scraping across. Oops, I see that air bubble again. Okay, let's see what we could do about that. I did not see it before. Try this from a different angle. It's real close to the bottom here. I actually need my multi-tool to get in with a smaller area here. And let's try this. That's much better. Get the paste where I need it. This is actually my air bubble, and I don't know what that's going to look like underneath until I clean it up. So let me go back over it and see if there's anything that I need to do to it, or if it's going to look all right. Actually, it doesn't look bad. I have a little bit of like feathering there that I would want to clean up. However, I'm going to put this back down very gently and work on the hat and the shoes. Okay. The hat and the shoes are going to be in green. Oops, I can see I don't have this laying down flat. Let's see what we could do about this. Okay. Let me clean up my multi-tool because I think I'm going to need it to get into some smaller areas here with the green and get the red shimmer paste off my fingers. Okay. Need a little more paste there. There we go. I'm going to try and remove my lines here, my tighter area, with my little multi-tool, at least for the smaller areas, and then I'll come back with a larger squeegee and clean it up. Okay, I'm going to use my little multi-tool to get in there and reach the tight little spots for the green paste on both the hat and the boots. And then I'm going to come back in and add the gold paste as the trim work in much the same manner. If you don't have a multi-tool, you could always take a squeegee and just cut it in half. Works great for getting in those tight little areas. And I have to remember to color in my little bell in the gold shimmer also. Ah, another air bubble. Okay, clean that. This is going to need a little touch up when I pull out the transfer. That's fine. Okay, now I want to come back with my gold shimmer and accent the boots, the hat, and apply gold shimmer to the jingle bell. Now I'm adding the gold paste. When working on a project like this, it's a good idea to either work very quickly or do some other techniques to keep your paste from drying out as you go from one part of the image to the other. And one of the easiest is to actually use a damp paper towel. You just take a paper towel, spritz it with some water, and then lay it down over the areas that you've already chalked. This keeps the paste moist and helps stop it from drying into your transfer. You don't want the paste to dry in your transfer before you lift it, because then when you lift up the transfer, you run the risk of also lifting up the paste. So putting a wet paper towel or a damp paper towel over it is a real easy trick to use. That I'm currently working on with the damp paper towel. So I'm here leaving just the trim work on the boots to finish in gold, but keeping everything else slightly damp as I wrap it up. Watch for chalk paste on your fingers. I'm not the neatest person. Easy to clean up, but it's better off if you clean your fingers first before you lift and peel off the transfer. Okay. I'm lifting the transfer at a 90-degree angle. Oh, how do you like that? I'm going to throw this in a water bath, and then let's take a quick look at the finished project. I see a little smudge down here that I'm going to have to clean up, but I think I'm going to wait for that to dry until I do clean it up. And I think it looks pretty good. And another smudge over here. I'll get a little Swiffer to clean those up, but I think I'll wait until they dry just so that I run less of a risk of smudging. It's just easier with a pointy little cotton swab to clean it once it's dry than while it's still wet. As promised, here's a little cleanup of the finished product. Little scrubbing with a little damp Swiffer. I think they're called Swiffers. One is pointy, the other is flat. Great for getting into tiny little spaces. Oops, definitely mispronouncing that. I was calling it by the name of a cleaning product. These are cosmetic applicators, cotton cosmetic applicators. Any other smudges? Ah, yes. This little one right here on my tee. And then I do see a little bit of a smudge in my L, but you know what? This will hide it perfectly. And I think it brings out the gold trim in the little boots and the hat. Ooh, I do see a little green up here. You know what? I think it's fine. What do you think? The elf made me do it. Well, I hope you were able to take away some solutions from my mistakes today, and that if this wasn't too tedious to watch, hope it was informative and in some way entertaining. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Have a wonderful life.